As long as you're making any sort of progress, you're good. But what I'm telling you, what will happen along this journey is you will raise that ceiling more and more, and your standards will raise along the way.
It's the takeover.
Yes, sir, ski. Let's fucking go, ski. So, today we're going to be talking about how each breakthrough you reach is going to raise your floor. We want to get higher and higher lows, and this happens over time by incrementally you keep pushing, you reach a breakthrough. And this applies to, we're going to be speaking in the context of like sales, views, likes, engagements, comments, things like that. I believe you should always track your metrics in certain forms. Like you should always have certain metrics that you're tracking, because this is going to give you a measuring stick to track your progress. And I believe that's really important, because specifically for me, on those days when it gets hard to keep going, that's the purpose of this shit. Like when it's hard to keep going, you're tracking your metrics. So as long as you could see that you're making some sort of progress, that's how you know like what you're doing is worth it. You're not just putting your energy in for no reason. So it is important to track and to use it as feedback. This kind of contradicts a video I just did a few days ago, speaking about not paying attention to the feedback and just upping your output. So I do want to say that still applies. Your output always has to stay the same or keep getting better, like as in you should keep raising your output more and more over time. But you tracking certain metrics definitely helps you, because it motivates you. It lets you know that you're making progress and you're getting closer and closer to your goal, just so you can get there and eventually make a new one. Get some water real quick. So yeah, this is a pretty simple concept, and it's just like you want to keep pushing to reach certain breakthroughs, to keep reaching higher and higher points, and you're gonna get to breakthroughs. We're always gonna keep having breakthroughs as long as we keep up with our output. Then it's inevitable. So you want to track this type of shit to make sure, to keep track, to make sure you're making progress along the way. As long as you're making any sort of progress, you're good. But what I'm telling you, what will happen along this journey is you will raise that ceiling more and more, and your standards will raise along the way. Let's say you start out posting on social media, you're getting no likes. Then you have a post that really resonates and you get like 10 likes. You know what I'm saying? Now your new floor, as opposed to being 0 before, you might average 1 or 2 likes. Then from there, you keep posting. Let's say in another month or 2 months later, boom, you get a post that gets 50 likes. Now your floor is 10 likes. And this is what we want to keep doing. We want to keep having our floor be our previous high. That's the point. You want to keep pushing, keep growing, so that the floor keeps raising and raising, and your standard keeps raising and raising. And this is how you're going to up the level, as you keep doing something. And this can apply to like views. This can apply to views, likes, any metrics. Like there's many different metrics, but you want to apply this to sales as well. But I'm telling you just what's going to happen along the process pretty much, which is you're going to keep raising the floor with each breakthrough. So, and this is something that this message is really just to reassure you. This is like reassuring to tell you like what's going to happen along the journey. This is how it works. You stay consistent, you keep enduring through the times when you have dips or when you're not having progress. You keep pushing through those times, and you're going to keep elevating that floor into the point where what used to be your goal, like let's say for me personally, I'll use the example of Twitter and Twitter engagements. I know I talk about Twitter a lot, but this is one of my main points of reference to reference shit to help you guys, that could help you guys with the journey of building shit up, because that's where I had the most success. So I always envisioned, like years ago, as I was building my accounts, I always envisioned me getting to this point where I was getting like at least 1,000 to a few thousand likes on every single post. And it all started, I would say I was not really posting consistently on my business page. I was more so just using it to promote my personal page. But one day I had this one post that took off. I had this one post that got like 4,000 likes. I remember this specifically. It was the turning point. And it's crazy because it can happen like this too. You can be pushing and pushing for years and building up slowly for years, right? And then you get that one fucking post. This is why you gotta just keep going and keep enduring through shit, because all it takes is one post to turn the tides, and then you can just keep with the consistency after that, or you even up your output after that, and it can fucking exponentially, you can go up. You can do in a year like what it took you fucking 10 years to do. That's what happened to me. Actually, in 1 year, in 1 year, I got 8 times the growth that it took me 10 years to get. Like, I remember when I first got this one account that I turned into my business account, my Takeover Worldwide account. When I first got that account, it was like at 12K, right? I slowly built that account up over the course of the next fucking 6 or 7 years. We'll just round it up to 10 years, but over the course of like 6, 7, 8 years, I went from that 12K to like about like 28K when I had that moment, when I had that one post that got to 4K. After that post that got to 4K, I kept incrementally pushing. Next thing you know, my floor after that 4K post was like 3 to 600, I would say. Every post I was doing after that was getting 3 to 600 likes. And before this, we were at like 50 to 100, let's say. So then I had that one post, got like 4.5K, 4K and some change, we'll say. And then after that, every other post I was doing was 3 to 600K. And I started posting 1 to 2 posts a day, as opposed to I used to just post like, I wasn't very consistent on that account. Like I said, I was really just using that page to promote and retweet. Every time I posted on my personal page, I would just retweet it on that one. It was just pretty much to promote my main personal page. But once that, then I started to test, then I started to post more on the brand page. And then once I got that one that hit like 4 point something K, then my floor raised. Like I said, then it was like 3 to 600 on every post. And I started posting more consistent because I saw that it was an opportunity there. I saw that because, you know, once you break out in the algo, you kind of have this little short period where you're a little favored by the algo. So I kind of intuitively knew that. So I upped my posting after that. I started posting more consistently on that account, which I wasn't doing before. So I started posting 1 to 3 posts a day, 1 or 2 posts a day. And I was all staying in the range of like 3 to 600 likes, which I knew I was onto something. So I doubled down on the shit. So I really started to consistently every day, 1 to 3 posts. If I got 2 posts that did very well, I would throw the third post, but I'm pretty sure I was just doing 2 posts a day. And then gradually I just kept getting hit after hit. Eventually, after, you know, the floor was like raised to, I said that 3 to 600, and then I got to around like the 1,000 mark, which is where I wanted to be for years, where like every post that I did was getting around 1,000. I had the metrics in my head where like if it didn't hit that 1,000, then that shit was pretty much a waste. You know, that shit was not a waste, but that was a L. That wasn't a satisfactory post for me. For me, it needed to hit at least 1,000 for me to know like I was gradually going up. And then what was happening was that I would have the breakout ones. I would have some that got 2,000, you know, and then the average kept raising. Then I would have a 5,000 one. Then I would get more consistently, I would get those 2 and 3,000 like posts after that. Then I hit the first 10K post. Then more consistently, I was getting 2 to 5K likes on it. Then I got a fucking 50K post, or no, a 20K post, then a 50K post. And then it just got to this point where my general metric that I kept, actually at the peak of it, when I was going the most crazy, I honestly, this is really fucking funny to think about now. But if I would get a post that got under 5K likes, and to get 5K likes takes about, I would say, a few 100,000 impressions or views, whatever you want to call it. Like, we'll say like 2 to 300,000 views is generally gonna get you around that 5K mark. So I remember at this point where I was like, my goal marker was like 10 and 15K a post, and it would get to the point where I would delete posts if they fucking, because every now and then I would delete posts. Like, usually it was a part of my normal protocol, unless I like really liked the post and I was emotionally attached to it, which I tried to stop doing that as time went on. I tried to take my emotions out of it and just follow my numbers. But every now and then, or usually what I would do is, if it didn't hit my fucking threshold, which my new floor at this point was like, I think 5K. My goal for every post was at least 10K, but I would accept it if it got at least 5K. So during that period when I was going that crazy, I was literally deleting posts if they had 1 to 3K, 1,000 fucking likes. Like 1 to 3,000 likes wasn't enough. Like, that was a dud for me, and I was deleting that shit, which is crazy because I went through a period after that where I was shadow banned for 6 months. I actually released this Rihanna wall art skateboard where it had her tits out. And I had to learn this the hard way, but you know, Twitter's supposed to be like nudity is allowed and all that shit. But what they do is, yeah, they allow it. They're not gonna ban your account like Instagram and shit, but they shadow banned me, bro, which killed my activity, tanked my activity. Like, I got up to that point where I was averaging around, I think it was around like that time when I was averaging around 10K a post, and then I got shadow banned after I did the Riri wall art skateboard, and my activity was dead, like in the 3 to 500 range, which was dead to me, like for like months. For like 3-4 months, that shit was dead, and that shit was killing me. And I remember during that time, I was thinking back, like, wow, you were really fucking deleting posts at 1 to 2,000 likes. That's crazy. I remember thinking to myself, like, realizing that that was still a good number. Yeah, then eventually I got to the point where I had posts that broke through the 100K range, 50, 60K range, 100K, 150K. And I just kept going up and up and up. And my ceiling, my floor kept rising throughout that. I'm just letting you guys know that this is how it works. And then this also applied with the sales. I would release something, and then I was like happy if I got one sale. I was like, oh shit, there's somebody in the world who wants to fucking buy my shit. That's fire, you know what I'm saying? Which I still feel that way anytime I get a sale, but eventually it raised more and more. Then I did a drop and I got like 40 or 50 sales, and it was all international around the world. That was huge for me. I got to have that experience where you fucking, I was envisioning this shit for years, where like you have all the packages, you know what I'm saying? You have all those packages going all over the world, and you sit there with everything packed up, you're ready to hit the post office. Like, I was seeing so many people online doing that shit for years, and then finally when I wanted to have that feeling, and I finally got that, I remember. And then that was my new like floor. Like, if anything got below that, then that was not good, and it had to get at least that for it to be good. So this is something that happens just over time as you gradually continue to get better and better at what you're doing, and you're adjusting along the way. I wasn't speaking on this, but what happens is when you get that breakthrough, you should be reverse engineering it. You should be reverse engineering and asking yourself, why did this break out like this? Why did this resonate more like this? And there's always going to be clues, and there's always going to be things that point you to that shit. To, if you really reflect on it, you can see why it broke out, and then you can apply that to your future shit. You can apply that to your future shit. For example, I realized on Twitter, like, just posts with text on it that was really resonant with the zeitgeist of the current moment of the world. Like, you gotta really, when it comes to going viral, sometimes you gotta like feel, because the world is constantly shifting with like everything that's going on in the news, or just, you know, in people's lives. Like, we're truly all connected. So I became very good at like reflecting on myself, being very honest and genuine. This is always the key, by the way, when it comes to connecting with people on a viral level. It has a lot to do with, you have to be able to be very genuine and honest with yourself to see where you're at and how you're feeling, and really tap into that. And because we are all connected, like, the world is feeling that shit. So the more you can tap into that shit, the more it's going to translate out. You know what I'm saying? So I realized that these certain text posts were really resonating. That was my first breakthrough with that first 4K post there. And then I just developed a system. Like, I was finding posts originally on X that were resonating also from other accounts, and then eventually I started finding them on other platforms and shit like that, and I created a system. And I'm a very systematized person. I always create systems with everything. And yeah, so I was doing that along the way. This wasn't just random. Like I said, you want to be self-reflecting. Each time you do have a breakthrough, you have to break it down, you have to reverse engineer it, and you got to find out why that was an outlier like that. So I would do that shit, and it worked in elevating me, and this was just how it played out, you know what I'm saying? So over time, I just was able to keep repeating this shit, because I was always reflecting. Like I said, I would always reflect and break down. I would really break this shit down. I would reverse engineer it. I was able to, each time I had an outlier, like, I was able to figure out why. So yeah, that's a part of it too. But yeah, this is just how the process is gonna go. This is how it's gonna go. You're gonna have breakthroughs, and you should always be really paying close attention and be able to identify, you know, nothing is by mistake. There's no such thing as coincidences. If you reverse engineer things and you reflect on things, you'll always be able to find the answers you're looking for. You'll always be able to find out why. And along the way, what you want to do is you want to create a system. You want to be able to identify those things that were the reasons why you broke out each time. And then you'll have a list and you'll know exactly how to recreate it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, each breakthrough, the first one is the only one that should be completely random. But after that, it should be like a continuous process where you have like a list. You know, I never had a specific list that I wrote down. It was more like intuitive. It was more just like a mental note that I would take. I would always reflect, and I would always see, you know, like eventually with the posts on Twitter, I realized like certain characters that were very influential to me. You got to understand we're all connected and we're all more similar than we think. So I started to realize like certain characters like Kobe, Pablo Escobar, Tony Montana. I started to see these certain characters, Michael Jordan, and these were just people that I aspired to too. These were just people in general who were attached to greatness, people who had that mindset of greatness. You know, that, and then another thing I realized was the quotes, the text on top of these pictures with these people. And then I started to realize specifically yellow text, you know what I'm saying? And then I broke down specifically the fonts, like down to the fonts, the color, the freaking outline, like everything. I broke the shit down until I was able to create a system and keep recreating it. And that allowed me to just keep adding on things each time I had a different outlier by mistake, because we're constantly putting the reps in. We're constantly trying different shit. You should be trying different shit along the whole way. And then each time you get an outlier, you have to break down and you have to identify what's the difference maker with that shit. And this is how you can go along the process and how you're going to keep raising your floor and keep experiencing those breakthroughs, is pretty much by taking what works from your outliers and repeating those shits and creating a system and understanding exactly what's working when shit pops off, and then always testing new shit. That's how you give yourself the opportunity for the new breakthroughs, by testing new shit. So yeah, there's a science to all this shit. There's definitely a science to this shit. Eventually you become very intuitive with it. It's not so like you have your bullet points and shit like that, but you should be able to understand by taking mental notes, and you should always be testing. And that combination right there is the fucking key, is always testing new shit, be able to identify why things broke out, why things were the outliers. And this is how you're going to be able to keep raising that floor and keep progressing exponentially. This is how we do it, baby. I just broke this shit down masterfully. I will most likely revisit this shit in the future for sure, but that's all we got today. Love you guys. I'll catch you on the next one. You know how the fuck we do. Takeover Worldwide. You got two options when you come fuck with us, baby. You can win with us, or you can watch us fucking win. Let's get it. I'll catch you on the next one.